You're listening to Greater Good Radio. Today's guest is former Judge Walter Kirimitsu, president of St. Louis Schools. Walter is also a member of St. Louis's Gallery of Distinguished Achievers for his community leadership and outstanding contribution to the betterment of Hawaii and for upholding the banner as an exemplary St. Louis gentleman. So, I have had a couple of friends work under you and with you at St. Louis Schools, and they always speak so highly of your leadership. And I noticed that you are very involved in the community, not just taking the position or the job that you have. Can you share with us how you started getting a little bit more involved in the community and why you encourage younger people to do so as well?
I think that we have a obligation or a duty to serve and give back to the community. One of the mantras at St. Louis is called Memor et Fidelis, which is Latin for mindful and faithful. And I read that to mean mindful to one's duty to serve the community and the public, and faithful to the values and ethics that we've learned, at St. Louis as well as after St. Louis. So I take that mantra very seriously, and I feel that with all of the benefits I've received from my education, from my people who have trained and mentored me, I feel a very heavy duty to give back to the community. So whenever asked to serve on a board, especially on a volunteer basis, I hesitate to say no. For instance, Judge Mark Browning of the Family Court asked if I would serve on this committee called the Specialty Courts Committee of the Family Court. And this particular committee is really to support juvenile rehabilitation, to help juveniles cope with the drug issues and drug problems. So when Judge Browning asked if I would volunteer on that committee to support the programs to help the youth of Hawaii, I immediately said, yes, I'll do whatever I can. So I continue to serve on that committee. The Chief Justice of the State Supreme Court, Ron Moon, asked me if I would serve on this American Judicature Society's committee, primarily to bring more knowledge of the judicial governmental systems to the public and private schools in our educational system, and I gladly volunteered to serve on that committee because there is a great need to educate our youngsters in the public as well as private schools about how the courts work. For instance, how the jury system works. And a lot of them just have exposure from what they see on television, whereas I think the actual lessons have to go deeper than that. And so we have served on that committee to come up with a program to accelerate and to expand what we teach in our public schools as well as in our private schools. So those kinds of projects, I feel a duty to serve, but also I'm very interested in doing what I can to perpetuate, the lessons that I've learned throughout life. When I was a judge in the Appellate Court, I would say the best times that I had serving as a judge was the times I spent with my law clerks. The law clerks were fresh out of law school. They were just hungry for knowledge and hungry for experience and so forth. And I can honestly say that the times I had in discussions with the law clerks were the best times of my judicial days. Because we had lunch together, we had sessions together discussing actual cases, and it was just a great opportunity to shape their young minds, to consider issues that made a big difference in the people's lives, other people's lives. And so that was the greatest pleasure for me. I really enjoyed that. And at the University of Hawaii, I also continue to mentor younger lawyers and then also younger students who were in undergraduate college. My door was always open for them to walk in and ask me about anything. And to this day, I still receive calls from students who have since graduated from University of Hawaii, and they still call me about what to do in this kind of situation. And some of the law clerks have now become prosecutors and have become U.S. attorneys, deputy U.S. attorneys, and they still call me to ask for my opinion on certain issues. So I enjoy that part of my career.
I'm sure there's many, but are you able to share maybe the one top important lesson that you've learned along the way that you make sure that these new people, when they start their career, they understand it and they know the importance of it to be successful where they want to go?
If I had to pick one major issue or one major important advice, and that would be to respect the people that you work with and that you live with, no matter what their age is or what their gender is. But respect, to me, is the fundamental value, I think, that one has to learn in order to be successful. And then from respect, you develop people relationship, and from respect, you develop leadership qualities, if that is in the cards. But I think basic respect is fundamental.
What was the first community service board or activity that you participated in?
The first community service was while I was in high school, and that was at that time volunteering and participating in a club called the St. Francis Xavier Club. And that club had members, high school students from all different schools, especially the private Catholic schools. And our mission was really to spread the faith and practice the faith among the youngsters in Hawaii. And that was my first public service that I can recall. And I spent, I eventually became the president of the Xavier Club in my 4th year. And that was my first public service.
Thanks for joining us today on Greater Good Radio. For more information or a transcript of today's show, please visit us online at greatergoodradio.com. This is your host, Evan Leong and Carrie Leong, saying please join us next time for another episode of Greater Good Radio Hawaii.